Hello and welcome. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Immigration to Europe Research Project proposal paper, what it needs to look like, and how to record your sources, how to insert citations in MLA format, and basically just how to meet the demands of this particular assignment today. The first thing I want to show you right here, you see on your screen, is the sample or model proposal paper that I wrote. This is not the only way to write this paper, but it is one way, and it's the way that I did it. You can certainly learn from it, and I'll talk about some of the things I think that work in it and some of the things I think you could do differently if you're interested. First of all, let's look right down here. You can see the word count is 500. Exactly. It does actually count citations in that word count. So I want you to feel free to go to 510 words. If you go over that this time, folks, it's going to be a non-starter. We'll just use the IB sort of drop a letter grade kind of thought process on this one. That's not exactly what the IB does, but it's close enough for project today. First, let's talk formatting. I want you to insert a header with your name, your section, and just, you can put proposal paper. And as a matter of fact, let's edit this right now so that it says the name of my country. You just go to insert in the menu bar up here, scroll over here to header. Okay, I used 3 columns, so you're just going to click on that. For me, I'm going to click on edit header. It's going to look like this. When you do this, it's going to say, type here. So you just highlight where it says type here or add text, and you can easily add your text. It couldn't be easier. So proposal paper, I'm going to put - Luxembourg. Fantastic. When you type in these things, hit close. It doesn't count towards your word count anymore, and it's nice and clean. Beyond that, folks, you need to use size 12 times New Roman font. My suggestion is that you get rid of the space between paragraphs and use indentation. If you don't indent, then you do need the space in between, but you don't need both. Those are your 2 choices. I think that it is a norm to indent. It is more accepted in the English-speaking world than the space. If you insist on the space, fine. Certainly you'll find out at university what people prefer. They'll tell you absolutely. To get rid of the space, you just go to page layout spacing over here. After it usually starts here, the default in Europe seems to be 10 points. Move it down to 0 points, and it will wind up looking exactly like this. Once we get into the basics of the layout, let's start talking about ideas. We're going to have an introductory paragraph. 500 words is probably going to allow you an introduction, a conclusion that's a bit more meaty, let's say, sort of a brief introduction and a substantial conclusion, or maybe the other way around, but I wouldn't suggest that. And then 2 good body paragraphs. That's probably all you're going to get for 500 words. What I've done, and again, please take a look at the link at the bottom of the page for this document so you can have a read and look at it so you're not just listening to me talk. This first paragraph lays out the problem, lays out Luxembourg's situation. It's not alarmist. It's ethically written. There is no pathos here, but it lets you know some of the numbers. 39.6% of Luxembourg's population are foreign, 13% of whom are not from the EU. It talks about what percentage they make up. It talks about what percentage of the workforce is immigrant and some of the laws, okay? But it ends by saying, that they do value, Luxembourg does value these foreign workers and the contribution they make to civil society. That's kind of a transition, because if you look at the next body paragraph, this is the proposed change to the EU's immigration policy. The change being that naturalization should be easier, that's becoming a citizen of the country. There should be language and civil society classes, but a fairly short amount of time for naturalization, but no EU country should allow dual or multiple citizenship. The idea, you can read it, is that this will cause people to integrate, settle for long periods of time, and the conclusion, and I think maybe one of the strengths of this paper, is that it ends by coming back to that argument and saying why that's important. It's important because it will attract skilled labor, encouraging permanent naturalization of that labor so those people won't move on, at least outside of Europe, because once, of course, you're an EU citizen, you can work within the EU. That all those arguments get made in the second body paragraph. here it says, this would make it more likely for students to stay and start families and whatnot. So the argument's there. If you were interested in writing two separate arguments, you could very easily write a more expanded introduction in which you lay out the basics of the problem and write two separate arguments or proposals, let's say, and then, conclude with why both are important. That would be another way to structure this. Remember that this assignment is going to ask you to be concise, to the point, to use regular details, and to organize them in a sensible way. Okay, and just, like I said, support them regularly. If you look at this, I have Kofi Annan, this population migration source, Colwalter, that you can see in the Works Cited. This Luxembourg sort of history site, a asylum organization in Europe's site. A lot of use of this one source, but there are multiple other sources. The Teal piece, the first piece we read, and then this other sort of brief piece that I found. Probably relying on one source. How many do I rely on that 5 times or 4? Yeah, 5 times in the piece. That's possibly too many, but at least I use a number of other sources. I guess 5 other sources. So that's not too bad. I guess you've done a lot more research. I would expect you to use a slightly broader array of sources here. So don't take that as the perfect model. In terms of other organization, in terms of other formatting, let's talk about how to format MLA sources. A really easy way to do this in Microsoft Word is to use the reference manager. Okay, you click on references and manage sources. And here it's very, very easy. It's very, very easy to identify or organize your sources. You just click on New. Most of your documents are going to be documents from websites, and you fill in all this information. The author is the author's name. If there isn't one, you skip it. The web page is the organization or the main web page. The site is the single page at which you got information from. Give as much time information as you can. Fill out the full date access and provide the URL. When you hit OK there, what you're going to see is, for example, if we look at the Kofi Annan source, it's going to tell you what the citation looks like. It's going to provide the bibliographic entry for your Works Cited. And one of the things I actually didn't know, you can see Annan is not checked here, okay, but these other ones are checked. These are the sources I wound up using, and actually those are the sources that are going to wind up on my Works Cited. That's really nice because you never put a source on your Works Cited that you don't actually use. So let's go ahead and go to that Annan. Okay, paragraph 1, I'm actually going to get rid of this, and I'm going to go up here to Insert Citation, click on it, Annan, okay, but you can see that's from paragraph 1, because it's a direct quote, I need to put the paragraph sign, so I just click on it, go to Edit Citation, and I'll show you how to do this. I've created a shortcut for the paragraph symbol. I put 1, okay, there it is, now I just need to put a period in the space. Okay, that's pretty cool. That is exactly what an MLA source citation should look like. I think it's pretty powerful. And now, if we go back to manage sources, look at that. It knows that I used that Annan source. Okay, so again, why is that cool? Well, I'm done with this. Click on down here to the second page. Bibliography, Works Cited, done. And it cut out that piece, actually, well, no it didn't. There's the piece I didn't use, so easy enough for me to get rid of it. And there you go. I've got a perfectly formatted Works Cited list. I'm happy with that. I know that in university, I'm not a big fan of blue text. I would want that in black and centered, but I'm going to let it go for now. It's very, very easy. It's actually in a different font, so we can very easily come here to Home, Times New Roman, size 12, and it's done. It's still all formatted correctly. Okay, that's really pretty easy. Okay, so that's one way to use Microsoft Word to sort of manage your sources and to create a Works Cited list. If you like to use EasyBib or something online, feel free, but this is one way to manage it. I said I was going to show you a quick way to make a shortcut for the paragraph symbol. Super easy. Insert, come on over here to Symbol, click there, go down to More Symbols, and you'll see this window pop up. Special characters will have paragraph right here. Now, yours is going to be blank like section is right now. All you have to do to give yourself a shortcut key is click on shortcut key and just press some stuff. What I chose is Shift Control Alt P. Control Alt P, done. And there you go. Okay, click assign, and it's assigned. Close it, and now when I press Alt Control Shift P, I get a paragraph symbol that looks just like that. Makes it easy when you're doing these kind of citations over and over again. So just to wrap up, guys and gals, keep in mind, the writing process still works. It works every time in every class. Pre-write. What's the problem in your country? What are supportable solutions? What's your needs? And how will your needs help Europe? Organize. Make an outline. It never is a bad idea. That way also you can organize some of the main, most powerful points of research that you want to use so you know they're there. You don't forget to use something that you knew would be good. Write drafts. Help one another. Give feedback, and Google Docs is perfect for that because you don't have to sit next to each other. Oh, there's nothing wrong with sitting next to each other. It's very, very helpful when you're doing something on a Saturday. Use it. And just because I feel like I need to say it over and over, folks, we're supporting our ideas with details and we're citing them correctly. It's part of what you're being assessed on. Speaking of which, let's make sure that you're looking at the proposal paper rubric that's in the folder in Google Docs and in the OneNote notebook. Read it. Response to task: the student shows fidelity to the economic and political needs of their chosen country, as well as complex understanding of immigration issues. Luxembourg needs immigrant workers. They cannot support the population with the same kind of economic growth that they're used to without skilled immigrants. That's what we're after. And besides, they want them to stay. There are political groups that are fighting that in Luxembourg, but it's not as big a problem as elsewhere. It's one of the reasons I chose it. And so there you have it. I think that's an A or a B. Audience response: considers and addresses audience values and attitudes in order to persuade. Authoritative tone, but managed well for a hostile audience. One of the things I think this essay succeeds in is really tying together the EU as one community. Taking the point of view that these nationalistic identities aren't constructive and we should build a shared community. I don't know how persuasive that would be to the average European EU bureaucrat, but or anybody else for that matter. But nevertheless, it's an attempt. So I think that works. Critical analysis shows depth and is supported by much persuasive evidence. Well, maybe this is in the B zone for me. I'm probably overusing one source. I think the ideas are organized logically. There is a transition. I pointed that out. And I'm using signal phrases. For example, the Kofi Annan quote: as former United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan has stated, right up here, right before this quote, that's exactly what signal phrases were made to do. And then, style, well-suited diplomatic persuasion, I don't know. It's at least appropriate. So it's probably A, B here. I think my vocabulary and mechanics are fine. So please use the rubric, especially if you offer each other feedback in your drafting process. You have next week. I'll be in class. We can certainly work on this together. Good luck. Enjoy. Make a good argument and win. Good luck.